seated. Wait.
Attention, please. Parties in the matter with Stacey Adam Montgomery. Please report to courtroom 1.
They may not, they may not hear you in the conference room.
It's the correspondence from the
Refuse from the, we're bringing the witness now. If everyone's ready, we'll bring in the jurors. Please rise for the jurors, please.
All rise.
Please be seated.
Right before we took the break, I asked you if you told the interviewers, police or whoever, in June that you thought you paid cash.
Yes.
And you didn't remember, right?
No.
If I showed you a copy of your transcript, I'm going to ask you again to read what you need to, but this will be what I'm asking you about. So you told the police in June 23rd of 2022 that you thought you paid cash.
Yes.
And that would make sense because Adam was doing little things to try and collect cash, right?
Yes.
And you certainly had no money in the bank on your card, right?
No. Right.
So after this panic that you say that Adam feels, goes up to the drive-through, right?
Yes.
And the jury was at the Burger King, and you sort of make a roundabout way into the drive-through, right?
Yes.
And it's wide open there, right?
Yes.
And people are coming in and out of Burger King, right?
Yes.
And you stop at one place to make the order,
Yes.
and you ordered croissants and hash browns,
Yes.
and this was for you and the kids.
Yes.
And then you pull around, turn, and go to where you actually have communication with a live person.
Yes.
And the first thing that you do before you get your food or anything like that is turn over, but Adam is doing it because he's in the driver's seat, right?
Right.
Turning over the cash.
Yes.
Might have been card, but probably not, right?
Right.
You know, do you have a specific recollection now of whether it was cash?
No.
Okay. So assuming cash, but card would be the same, you turn it over to the clerk, right?
Yes.
And then the clerk does what the clerk does with money,
Yes.
and then opens the window again and maybe counts out the change.
Yes.
And Adam would be there with his hand out and change being counted out into his hand, right?
Yes.
And then maybe that change is handed to you so that he can then reach in again for the food.
Yes.
And when the food comes in, he probably takes the bag and gives it to you.
Yes.
And you said that just before that, the Adam was scared because he had been striking Harmony and something different happened.
Yes.
And while he's striking Harmony, the children are screaming.
Yes.
Going in through the Burger King parking lot.
Yes.
Going through the Burger King order spot.
Yes.
And going through the Burger King drive-thru.
Yes.
And you did not do anything, as you said, with Harmony.
Right. Right.
She was just laying there in the back.
Yes.
And right there as he drives up to the clerk at the Burger King parking lot.
Yes.
Okay. And you said Harmony is moaning in the back seat?
Yes.
And I don't think you said it, but you were, was it a moan that you understood to be a dying child?
No.
Okay. What was the moan?
I don't know. She was making a noise.
Okay. And you didn't check on her, right?
No.
Didn't throw a cover on her?
No.
Didn't have to turn around and soothe the boys in the back seat to make them quiet?
No. They weren't always crying just because one other kid was crying. They weren't always crying.
But violence, chaos, yelling, and screaming would make them cry.
They never really cried that much.
Okay. Okay. Did you ask to run in and maybe get some extra napkins to clean up the urine on the seat?
No.
With that smell lingering so bad, did you think maybe to ask if Harmony could go in and clean up?
No.
Did you do anything to deal with the smell of urine?
No, because Adam said she could just lay in it.
Okay. All right. And he was upset with the smell?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And I think actually you say that the kids may not have been crying. I think that, did you tell the police that you thought the kids were sleeping?
Yeah, they didn't really make any noise.
Okay. Kayla, that assault never happened, did it?
Yes, it did.
Okay. Well, you describe physically trying to stop him, Adam.
Yes.
You describe verbally trying to stop him.
Yes.
Nobody wants a person to strike and hurt a child,
Right.
especially a 5-year-old child under your care.
Right.
And you cannot allow that to happen. You can't sit by and allow that to happen, right?
Right.
Okay. But you said that you stopped trying to do anything because he looked at you with the face of pure evil.
Yes.
So you just got scared and shut up, right?
Yes.
Because his face was pure evil, right?
Yes.
And pure evil, a person with pure evil is not someone you want to protect.
No.
And a person who is pure evil is not someone that you love.
Well, that's hard to say.
Okay. A person of pure evil is not someone you want raising your children.
Right.
Okay. And you would do anything to get your kids away from pure evil.
Yes.
And even though Harmony was your child, you felt the same about her.
Yes.
She was pretty much your child.
Yes, I helped take care of her.
Okay. And when you and Adam split up years later, or March of 2021, you wanted him back.
We were both trying to fix our family and get back.
You wanted him back with the family and raising the children.
Right.
And when you were sitting in your cell thinking about this and reliving it, and you wrote that note about your thoughts about what you wanted, you indicated that the children needed Adam as well as you, right?
Right.
And that's not the face of pure evil. Right?
No.
Okay. So, you said to the jury Friday, I believe, that you fed the children at the Burger King parking lot?
Yes.
Okay.
We were leaving the parking lot.
As you were leaving the parking lot, you were feeding them?
Yeah, I handed them food.
Okay. Who'd you hand food?
I handed Seamus some food.
Uh-huh.
I handed Declan some food.
Uh-huh.
And I reached behind my seat and was giving Harmony the food, but I just put it down, thinking that she was going to be grabbing it.
Okay. So, do you remember telling the police that you fed the children at the Colonial parking lot?
No.
Okay. Did you feed the children at the Colonial parking lot?
I don't know.
Okay. Now, your car died at the intersection late morning-ish. Does that sound right?
Yes.
And you were at the clinic at 7-ish?
Yes.
Okay, so you were in the Colonial parking lot for a while, right?
Yes.
All right. And you don't recall talking to the police about feeding your children in the back seat at the Colonial?
No.
All right. First of all, before I ask some more questions, set up the situation. Declan is in the car seat by the behind the driver.
No.
You've got Seamus there now.
Yes.
And so you're having Declan in the middle seat.
Yes.
And Harmony is on the
Behind.
passenger side behind you.
Yes.
And Declan is under a year,
Yes.
and you got croissants. What were you feeding Declan?
Pieces of food.
Okay. So you would break off a little piece of hash brown?
Yeah, something. I don't remember what I was feeding him.
And would you hand it to him and make sure he grabbed it?
No.
You just sort of put it back there?
I put it in his mouth.
So you would turn around from the driver's side and put little pieces of food in Declan's mouth?
No.
What?
I reached my arm back and put it in his mouth. Because he's in the middle.
Okay. And Seamus, okay, so would you turn to reach your arm back and look and make sure you're getting it in his mouth?
I could feel it.
So you reach back with your arm and you feel around for his mouth and put it in?
Yes.
Okay. And then Seamus, you also have to give him small pieces of food, right?
Right.
And with Seamus, you break off a small thing and you give him and make sure he takes it in his hand, right?
Right.
And so you turn around and reach over to Seamus and hand him his piece of food.
I didn't turn around
Okay. Why not?
because I could see him. I
Okay.
just handed it to him like that. He was sitting in the car seat.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Do you remember describing to the police? Oh, and also you said that you took some and you handed it back to Harmony?
I gave a sandwich to her, yes.
You gave a croissant to her?
Yes.
So you bought the croissant for Harmony or for you?
There was 3 of them.
Okay.
There was one for her, and then there was one for Adam, and one for me. And the one that I had, I broke apart and gave to the kids.
Okay. And so what'd you do? Put the whole sandwich back there for Harmony?
Yes.
Did you check and see if she was eating it?
No,
Why not?
because I didn't.
Okay. Okay. And Harmony's position while you're doing that, I think she's leaning against her brother beside her,
Yes.
and then sometimes she's leaning up against the door, I think.
Yes.
And you don't check on her.
No.
Don't check and see if she's eating.
No.
But you make sure that you've put the food in Declan's mouth.
Yeah, because they're younger.
So you weren't concerned about Harmony at that point.
That's not what I'm saying.
Okay. You feed them directly because they were younger. You don't feed Harmony directly because, or make sure that she's eating. Why?
Because she can open the package and eat it.
Did you hear her open the package?
No, I don't know. I don't remember.
Okay. And so after that, you went up to Bodero's to get some drugs.
We went to Colonial Village.
Sustained.
Okay. So when you went to Bodero's to get some drugs,
Overruled. Council approach.
So after you ate, you got some drugs.
I don't remember doing that.
Council
You remember
approach?
having-
Council approach? Rephrase the question.
And after you ate, you and Adam did some drugs.
Yes.
And you did not ask Bodero to call 911.
No.
You did not ask your friend Bodero to come out to the car to maybe help you while you checked on Harmony.
No.
You did not ask to take Harmony up to Bodero's apartment to maybe clean her up and make sure she was okay?
No.
Okay. And fair to say today you don't know where you got those drugs from?
We were always at Colonial Village where he lived, and he's the one that we got drugs off of.
Okay. And but you do recall actually feeding all three children in the back seat, right?
Yes.
And you recall that you were feeding them, and do you recall that you said that you were feeding them with one hand because your other hand was in the bag for your food?
No.
Okay. So let's talk about why you left the Colonial. At that point where eventually the car broke down, okay? Did you have concerns about Harmony in the car at the time that you left?
No.
Did you look at Harmony at all in the car before you left?
No.
And you said that he, Adam, struck her God knows how many times.
Yes.
And that she had been crying, and that Adam actually got scared that he had hurt her.
Yes.
And you never checked.
No.
And you described on direct when you were talking to the state that whenever you all were out in public, Harmony would be covered up so no one would see.
Right.
That wasn't quite true, right?
Not in the beginning.
Okay. And not at Burger King.
Yes, she was under the blanket in Burger King.
Okay. Do you recall saying that she had a blanket on her lap
No.
when you were feeding her?
I just knew the blanket was there.
And that you put little pieces of food on her blanket that was on her lap to feed her?
No. I don't remember putting pieces of food on her lap.
Just sort of toss back a sandwich?
Yeah.
Okay. And you had no concerns about Harmony?
No.
You said that she was moaning before she was at Burger King?
Yeah.
And you said that she was moaning after Burger King?
Yes.
And that moaning had you concerned?
Yes.
But you didn't check?
No.
And I think you just said because you weren't concerned.
No, I am concerned. I was concerned.
Okay. And you didn't check on her?
No.
And Adam, you described as being scared that he would hurt her, had hurt her.
Yes.
And where did you go from? Where were you going from the village?
I don't remember where we were going. I don't remember if we were going to figure out how to get money to get more drugs. I don't remember what we were doing. I
Okay.
don't remember why we left.
Okay. So that if this were true, then Adam would be driving around with a critically injured child in the back seat in public.
Right.
And it would have been a pretty important place to have to go for him to take that sort of risk of driving around with a critically injured child in the back seat.
He didn't care.
Okay. And you did or did not?
I felt like I had no say.
Okay.
Anytime I said something, I'd get yelled at.
Okay. And then, you say that at the intersection. By the way, what drugs did you do that day?
I remember doing heroin or fentanyl.
Okay. Not crack.
I don't remember if we did that or not.
Okay. So when you said on direct that it was heroin and crack, that's not what you recall.
I don't remember doing both or not.
But you do recall heroin and fentanyl.
Yes.
Okay. And so we discussed timing with the Colonial at 7 and then the breakdown late morning, right?
Yes.
So you were at the Colonial for a few hours.
We were at the clinic at 7.
And then Burger King and then the Colonial.
Yes.
And so you were at the Colonial parking lot for a few hours or a couple of hours before you left for wherever it was you were going.
I don't think we were there that long.
Do you recall the tow truck driver, do you recall going back to the intersection and the tow truck driver was there?
You're talking about after the car broke down?
Uh-huh.
Yes, I remember when we got brought back.
Okay. And that was like after 12:30 or so, right?
Yeah, something like that.
And how long did it take you to walk to Mr. Vadero's from the car?
I don't know, it felt like a long walk. I don't remember how long.
Okay. Okay. So, let's see. In that time that you were in the Colonial parking area on the 6th, prior to the car breaking down, Harmony was in the car, but she was dead, right?
No.
Basis?
Assumes facts and evidence. May we approach?
Yes.
Sorry. Harmony was on the 7th, between your 7 o'clock session at the clinic, dosage at the clinic, to Burger King, to the parking lot, to using drugs, to late morning driving away.
Yes.
Harmony was dead in the car, right?
Not throughout that whole time.
Pardon?
Not throughout the whole time.
She was actually in the trunk of the car, right?
What?
Were you and Adam planning or trying to figure out what you could do with Harmony because she had died?
No, that didn't happen yet.
Okay. So,
Didn't even make any sense.
somewhere important you had to go with Harmony in the car, and you break down at the intersection, right? The car
I didn't
does.
have anywhere important to go.
Okay. So, at the intersection, there's Webster and Elm Street, right?
Yes.
Elm Street is a big road, 4-lane.
Yes.
4-lane in the sense that it has turning lanes, right?
Yes.
And Webster is smaller, 2-lane.
Well, it was still 2 lanes where we were. Yeah.
And then it changes. And so you were on Webster getting ready to get onto Elm Street.
I don't remember which way we were going. But I knew we were at the light. First car at the light.
So you don't know if you were in the 4-lane part or the 2-lane part of Elm Street or the 2-lane part of Webster?
We were right on Webster at the light.
Okay. And the light turns green and the car doesn't go.
Right.
And there are cars around you,
Yes.
honking,
Yes.
looking at you.
No, they were just figuring out why the car was there. We had to keep telling them to drive around.
Okay. So you and Adam are sort of waving them around?
Yes.
Or you're waving them around?
I was waving them around to go around the car.
Okay. And Adam, I think you said, got the duffel bag out of the trunk?
Yes.
Because the duffel bag was in the trunk, right?
Yes.
And Harmony's body was in that duffel bag already.
No.
Overruled.
You tell Adam, well, I think Adam asked you what to do, right?
Yes.
This is a pretty bad situation, right?
Right.
With Harmony in the car like she was.
Yes.
And Adam asked you what to do.
Right.
And you tell him that you should,
Yes.
So you tell Adam that,
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained. Well, approach if you want to approach.
and at that intersection, you all pack up and go to Badero's, right?
Right.
And that was your idea.
No.
It wasn't?
No.
I'm going to refer you to, I'm going to approach first, Your Honor. I'm going to show you a copy of the transcript of your June 3rd interview. I'm going to move this clip a bit because it might be hidden by it. And ask you again to review a portion of it, and I'm going to ask you a question, and that is the area, page 50 for the record.
Okay.
And you told Adam that you should go to Badero's, right?
I asked him if we should.
Okay, so it was your idea, right?
Yeah.
And you gathered, Adam grabbed a duffel bag from the trunk.
Yes.
You got your purse and stuff from the trunk.
No, my purse was not in the trunk.
Okay, so you got your purse and you got some stuff from the trunk. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. You got some diapers for the kids?
Yes.
And you couldn't take too much with you because you were walking with all the kids to Mr. Badero's.
Right.
And you can't wait around for any kind of help because you have to get Harmony's body away from that car as soon as you can.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I want to talk to you about discovering that Harmony was dead. I think on direct you said that Adam opened the door and said something like, baby girl, wake up, or wake up, baby girl.
Yes.
And she wasn't moving.
Right.
And that's when he popped open the trunk, you said.
The trunk wouldn't open.
It did eventually, though, right?
We moved the car seat out of the car so that he could move the seat to get into the trunk.
Okay. And Adam checked her breathing.
He was just trying to wake her and she wouldn't wake up.
Okay. Do you remember Adam saying that Adam put his hand over her heart?
No.
And so that didn't happen? You don't have a recollection of Adam putting his hand over her heart?
No, I don't.
Okay. But you did tell the police that in June of 23rd that he put his hand over her heart to check her.
He was checking her, but she wasn't waking up.
Okay, so he did put his hand over her heart to check her.
He tried waking her up. I don't remember the hand on the heart.
Okay. Do you remember telling the police on June of 2023 that he checked her breathing and like put his hand on her heart?
No.
Okay, I'm going to show you. Copy of that same transcript, okay? And ask you to review that paragraph there, okay?
I still don't remember that, but I can see that I said that, but I don't remember it happening.
Okay. But what you told the police back in June of 2023, you were telling them as if it was a memory, right?
Right.
So either it wasn't a memory or that memory is gone.
I don't remember.
And you also checked Harmony, and she wasn't breathing.
Right.
You checked her neck and you checked her wrists.
Yeah.
And you were looking for a pulse.
Yeah.
Must have been panicking.
Yeah.
Did you do that before or after you were waving cars around?
After.
Okay. So, after you have checked Harmony, you're saying that you went to the back of the car and you're sort of moving, waving cars around to get them around your car.
Yeah.
Okay. And how long did you do that?
Until we got the stuff out of the car that we needed to get out.
Okay, so are you doing that while Adam is getting stuff out of the car?
No, we're both on each side of the car, doing the same thing, trying to get stuff out.
Which side of the car were you on?
I don't remember.
Okay. And you claim that as these cars are going around and beeping and everything, that Adam put Harmony into a duffel bag.
Yes.
And the four of you walked to Colonial Village.
Right.
Now, on direct, you said that you never saw Harmony bleed.
Yeah, I didn't.
Okay. Did you ever see blood on her?
Not that I remember.
Okay. And you told the police that while Adam was throwing stuff in the back and cleaning the car, that well, you told the police that Adam was putting stuff in the bag and cleaning the car, right?
After
After what?
after we got to Anthony's and he brought us back to the car to get stuff out
Uh-huh.
and he cleaned it.
Okay. And you said that he cleaned the back seat because he had blood on his hands from hitting Harmony.
I don't remember.
Human approach.
Yes?
You were asked what Adam was cleaning, and you said that the back seat because he had blood on his hands from hitting Harmony, right?
I don't remember that day of him doing that. I just remember cleaning the car after.
Okay. I'm going to ask you the questions, and then we'll do some more. You said that Harmony had a bloody nose, and he had blood on his hands from hitting her, and he was wiping the seat with a napkin, right?
Action correct.
Overruled.
I don't remember it that day that she passed away that was happening.
Okay. And you were asked if Badero said anything about Adam's bloody hand, right?
Not that day.
Okay, I'll go through. And you said no, he had already cleaned up his hands because that event, the bloody nose thing, happened days before, right?
Right?
And you were asked more about whether Harmony had blood on her on her that day,
Right.
and you said you saw dried blood on her face, right?
Right.
And you said that that was the day the car broke down, that you saw dried blood on her face.
Right.
Okay. So, I'm going to go through the transcript and ask about some of those other things that you didn't remember and see if it refreshes your recollection.
Sure,
Okay?
Your Honor. What day is testify?
Approach.
again, it's that transcript from June 23rd, and ask you to review portions of that transcript. I'm going to show you 229 down to all of 229 and 230.
Okay, Smith?
That help refresh your recollection?
Yeah.
And so, you did tell the police that Harmony had a bloody nose and had blood on it. He had blood on his hands and was wiping the seat with a napkin.
Yeah, but that happened days before. Happened before she died.
Sure. But the wiping was on when the tow truck driver was there?
Yeah, when we went back to the car,
Okay,
I remember cleaning.
okay. And it was for the blood that was on the car?
I don't remember what it was for. Adam just wanted to clean it.
Okay. But you recalled that you did see blood, you said, on Harmony's face,
Yeah.
right? And it was that day, right?
Yes.
And where you saw Adam cleaning was around the area that Harmony was sitting, right?
Right.
And you said that Adam had blood on his face that day? I mean, on his fist that day?
Yeah, on his hand.
And that Harmony had blood on her face?
Dried blood, yeah.
Right. But not from days before. Are you saying she had dry blood from days before?
Yeah, she had dry blood on her face.
From days before?
Yeah.
And you never cleaned her face for days?
No, he just kept her under the blanket.
Okay. Now, you said yesterday, Friday, that you and Adam had talked about what to do together. Is that right? Do you remember that?
Yes.
And that you sort of came together with the plan to say that Adam had taken Harmony to her mother's?
That's what Adam told me to say, yes.
Okay. I am going to switch over now to when you go to fit, okay?
Which time?
With Adam, Declan, and Seamus,
Okay,
and the body of Harmony.
okay,
And so, Adam no longer had a car after December 7th, right?
right,
And he no longer had the freedom to drive wherever he wanted to, right?
right,
And when he drove, there would be somebody else in the car, right? He would be driving someone else's car, right? And sometimes he drove Badero's car, right?
that was way before.
Okay. And you still didn't have any money, right?
Right,
And from 2 days in Badero's car, you go to your mother's.
right,
And I think you actually go to an aunt's or something, and from there, your mother comes over and gets you off.
yes,
And you could only stay for a very limited time.
yes,
She might get in trouble with her landlord.
yes,
And so you were trying to get into the shelter.
yes,
And you worked and applied and everything like that for the shelter.
yes,
Would you walk over there to do that?
yes, we did.
Okay. So you, Adam, and the kids would walk over to the shelter to apply for shelter there.
We walked to city welfare.
Okay. And would you, Adam, and the kids be in the office all together making the application?
When we filled out the application, yes.
Okay.
And then I saw the case manager. I don't remember if we were together or if it was just me.
Okay. Now, when you told the jury that it fit, you had taken the duffel bag from the ceiling.
Actually, Your Honor, it's a mistake in the record.
Overruled.
May we approach?
Yes.
I didn't realize I had said it. Adam took the duffel bag down from the ceiling, right?
Yes,
And Adam was the one that put the duffel bag in the ceiling in the first place, right?
yes,
And you said that he took the duffel bag down from the ceiling and had it in the shower for hours.
Had it in the bathroom, yes.
Oh, was there a shower there?
Yes.
And did he have it in the shower for hours?
I don't remember.
Okay, okay. And from the bathroom, where did it go?
To the closet.
In what?
Trash bag.
Okay. And then what?
CMC bag.
Okay, so it went from the bathroom into a trash bag, one of those big black things,
Yes.
and from there it goes into the closet. For how long?
I don't know, a day or two.
Okay, and there the trash bag and Harmony's body goes in the CMC bag?
Yes.
Okay, and I think you identified Exhibit 85 as pretty much a duplicate of the bag that you got from CMC, right?
Yes.
And this is a bag that's given when you give birth at CMC, right?
Yes.
And it's for diapers and carrying things around for your children, right?
Yes, diaper bag.
Pardon?
Diaper bag.
Okay. And from the CMC bag with the trash bag and Harmony's body,
Yes.
where does it go?
To Portland Pie.
Okay. And then where?
To Union Street.
How?
In a tote.
Okay. From where to where did it go to Union Street? Where did it get in the tote?
From the shelter.
So how did the CMC bag get back to the shelter?
It came back from Adam's work. To the
Okay.
shelter.
Who brought it back?
Adam.
Okay. Who brought it to Portland Pie?
I did.
Okay. So, are you saying that it's in the CMC, there's a body in a trash bag in the CMC bag in the tote
Not in the tote at the time.
when you go to Union?
When we go to Union, yes.
Okay. And, so you told okay, so you take the tote, you take the CMC bag, but not the tote, to Portland Pie. Not the plastic, right?
I'm confused.
So am I. I'll back up. Sorry. To reorient ourselves, at some point, you say that Adam takes the body down from the ceiling tiles.
Yes.
And it's because there's a smell.
Yes.
And it's because other people in FIT are concerned about the smell.
Yes.
And you all are concerned that somebody might be checking the place to find out about the smell.
Yes.
Because you've heard the complaints
Yes.
and you're scared.
Yes.
And I think you said Adam takes Harmony's body down into the bathroom
Yes.
and takes her body out of the duffel bag
Yes.
and puts her body in a trash bag
Yes.
and puts the trash bag in the closet.
In the CMC bag in the closet.
Okay. So from the bathroom is her body put in the CMC bag?
In the trash bag. The trash bag's in the CMC bag.
And that all happens in the bathroom.
Yes.
And then, you, said, I believe on direct, that Adam tells you to take, the CMC bag to Portland Pie.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
He had asked me to bring her body in the CMC bag to his work at Portland Pie
When?
while we were at the shelter.
Was it, right after you say that he put the body in the CMC bag?
Yes.
So, like the next day?
I don't remember if it was the next day or a couple of days.
Okay. And where was he when he did this? Was he in the shelter with you saying, bring this body to me?
Yes.
So he's in the shelter with you and at some point goes to work
Yes.
and has told you to bring this CMC bag to work.
Yes.
Why didn't he just take the CMC bag?
I don't know.
Okay. So you have 2 kids and a stroller, right?
Yes.
And so tell me about those arrangements, getting the and you take all of that to Portland Pie.
Yes.
Tell me about how you did that.
It was a double stroller. So I had one kid in the front and there's a basket underneath and I put the CMC bag in the basket and then the other kid was on the other side, on the other seat.
Okay. So you take the CMC bag out of the closet and put it on the stroller?
Yes.
And is that inside fit or outside fit that you loaded on the stroller?
Inside.
And then you get your kids arranged
Yes.
as well inside.
Yes.
And then you walk down the street, and I think you said it took about 15 minutes or so.
Yes.
And you are walking with your children and the body of Harmony in a CMC bag to Portland Pie.
Yes.
And why? Why was it going there? Did you know?
He asked me to do it.
Okay. You didn't say anything, ask him why or anything?
He said he was doing it so that the smell wouldn't be at the shelter.
Okay. Did you tell him he should take it with him?
No, he called me when he was at work and told me to bring it.
Okay. So he didn't tell you to do that while he was at FIT.
He was thinking about it, but I didn't think he was really going to do that.
Okay. So he mentioned it at FIT, but then calls you from Portland Pie and says, come on down.
Yes.
Okay. And then you have a place at Union Street, right?
Yes.
And somehow the body has returned to FIT
Yes.
before you move to Union Street.
Yes.
And you don't know how.
Adam brought it back.
Did you see him bring it back?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember if it came back. Yeah, because we had to bring it to the apartment.
Okay, and you brought it? The CMC bag in a plastic storage container, right?
Yes.
And you went to the Union Avenue apartment, and again, you have a stroller with your 2 sons,
Yes.
and now it is a plastic container that is on the stroller.
Yes.
Okay. And it wasn't a plastic container on the stroller when you went to Portland Pie?
No.
Okay. And when you got to Portland Pie, you and Adam put the body in a refrigerator?
It was his job,
Okay.
so he did.
That was his job. It was
His
to
job
handle.
was at Portland Pie.
Okay.
So he took the CMC bag inside, and he said he put it in the freezer.
I'm sorry. I meant to be asking about Union Street, and I know that I misstate sometimes. So at Union Street, you're on a second floor,
Yes,
and you sign the lease and everything like that, and Adam brings the body upstairs,
yes,
and the CMC bag is put in the refrigerator.
it's in the tote.
Okay.
When we were walking to the Union Street, the bag was in the tote. He brought the tote upstairs and put it in the closet.
Okay. And from the closet, it went to the refrigerator?
Yes,
Okay. Now, earlier, before I was specifically going over your activities at FIT and Union and Portland Pie, I had talked to you about a conversation that you had with Detective Dunleavy after the June 3rd interview, right?
yes,
And you said that you had gone up to him and said that you had forgotten to tell him during the June 3rd interview that you had taken the diaper bag from the freezer and walked with it in the stroller to meet Adam at the back of Portland Pie. That's
right,
what you told Detective Dunleavy, right?
right,
And that you said the bag was there for 1 to 2 weeks, and then it was brought back to the Union Street apartment, right?
right,
Okay. A little bit different from what you've just described, right?
right. But I remember bringing it to his job from the shelter.
Okay.
Counsel, you want to approach? As I said, I look for what we consider to be natural breaking points. This sounds like one of them. So we're gonna break for lunch. So I'm gonna ask you to come back in an hour. So come back at 1 o'clock, please. We'll start at hopefully at about 5 after. I remind you, don't discuss the case with each other or with anybody else. Do not do any independent research. Make sure all your banners and notifications are turned off on your phones. No independent research, all right? Thank you very much. We'll see you about 1 o'clock.
All rise for the jury.
All right, Ms. Montgomery, you may step down. Counsel approach. Please rise for the jurors.
All rise.
Please be seated.
I'm going to go a little, sorry, a little bit backwards from what we were talking about when we took the break, and talk about the order of the children in the car in the back seat. Declan, I think you said, had a car seat.
Yes.
Seamus had a car seat.
Yes.
And Harmony would wear a seatbelt.
Yes.
And I think that you said earlier today, Declan was in the middle, Seamus was on the driver's side, and Harmony was in the passenger side.
Yes.
In May 16 of, well, actually, in June of 2023, you described Harmony in the back seat after Burger King, leaning on Seamus's seat.
Yeah, she was always leaning on one of the car seats.
Okay, and you said it was Seamus's.
Okay, so I must have it mixed up. I don't remember. I always thought Declan was in the middle.
Okay. If you told them on the 23rd that it was, June 23rd, that it was a Seamus, it could have been.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, when you were on May 16, 2023, you were talking about feeding the children, and you said Declan couldn't eat yet because he was an infant, but I gave Seamus a little piece at the time he was in the middle. Is that right?
Yes.
And that was as if it was a memory, that you were speaking from memory.
Yes.
And do you recall, because you talked about feeding Declan and putting the pieces in his mouth, do you recall if you did that?
I remember feeding one of them, both of them, I don't know.
Okay. And you talked about putting a sandwich on Harmony's lap, but not looking at her, right?
Right.
But you saw that she had a blanket on her lap, right?
Yeah, she always had a blanket on her.
And it was on her lap, you described it, right?
Yes.
Not over her, it was on her lap.
Right.
And that you were not looking, but you were sitting and just handing stuff back.
Right.
Okay. So, a couple of things on Union Avenue and what you described at Union Avenue. I think that you described the tote was in the, not the tote, the plastic thing with the tote inside was in the closet, and then the tote was put in the refrigerator.
The bag was in the tote, in the closet. Then the bag ended up in the refrigerator.
CMC bag.
Yes.
Yeah. And it was in the refrigerator for a bit until it was taken out to go into the bathtub.
Yes.
And after it was in the bathtub, it went in the freezer.
Yes.
Okay. And you talked about events in the freezer. I mean, in the shower. And described for the jury lime.
Yes.
And that lime was used in the shower.
No.
Did you say that lime was put in a bag?
Yes.
So that was on the floor of the bathroom, is that what you're
Yes.
saying? And why lime?
Adam got the lime. I don't know where it came from.
Okay. Did y'all research lime and what it might do?
I did not.
Okay. It's not like anything was dissolving in the shower or anything, right? With the lime? In the
It
bathroom?
wasn't in the bathroom. It wasn't used in the shower.
Okay. But nothing was dissolving or anything with lime, right?
I have no idea.
You were in there.
Not the whole time.
Okay. You said that lime was put in a bag and then Harmony's body was put in a bag. You didn't see any reaction of her body to the lime, right?
No.
Nothing changed.
I didn't see her body getting put in the bag with the lime. Adam said that he was going to be putting her body in the lime, in the bag that has the lime in it.
Okay. Okay. And you talked on direct about a tool. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And when you first spoke to the police, you told them that scissors were the only tool used in the shower, right?
From what I remember, yes.
Okay. And the scissors were used to cut clothes off of Harmony.
Yes.
And you used the scissors
Yes.
and you cut off Harmony's hoodie.
Yes.
And you're saying Adam used the scissors
Yes.
and cut off her leggings.
Yes.
And those were the only tools in the bathroom, right?
That I saw, yes.
How big's the bathroom?
The bathroom wasn't that big.
Okay. You saw the things that were in the bathroom, right?
Yes.
And you claim to have seen a bag of lime in the bathroom, right?
Yes.
You didn't see any tools, right?
No, I saw a bag of lime and trash bags.
Okay. And there weren't any tools sitting outside the bathroom, right?
No.
Okay. And you didn't hear any power saws?
No, because it was really loud.
What was really loud?
Our neighbor next door was a drunk and very loud, always blasting his music.
Okay. And you think that the music could have overcome power tools if they were used?
I believe so, yeah. It was very loud all the time.
Okay. And when you first talked to the police, you actually denied that you helped Adam in the bathroom, right?
Right?
And you denied that you had anything to do with what he did in the bathroom.
Right.
You said that Adam didn't want you in the bathroom.
Right.
And then when you had to admit that you were in the bathroom, you ended up admitting that you cut off the hoodie, right?
Right.
And you ended up admitting that you were zipping up the bag
Yes.
at the end.
Yes.
So you were in the bathroom for a while,
No.
for a few times.
Like a couple times, yes.
Okay. And otherwise, the shower was going.
Yes.
And so presumably the water is doing something.
Yes.
And a bag of lime on the floor in the bathroom would generally not be touched by a shower that's in the tub, right?
No, it was in the corner of the bathroom.
Okay, away from the tub.
Yes.
Okay. But the shower, I think you said, was going continuously
Yes.
the whole time,
Yes.
and you could hear that.
That's what I saw.
Saw or heard?
I saw. I couldn't hear it, but I saw.
And you saw it going the whole time?
Not the whole time, but I assumed the whole time
Okay. Okay.
because he told me what he was doing.
Okay. And you and Adam were working together to take the clothes off of Harmony and put her in the bag.
I didn't put her in the bag.
You zipped up the bag.
He needed help zipping up the bag. I was there in the beginning, and I was there in the end.
Excuse me. Sir, you need to step out or turn the pager off. Okay, please step out. Thank you. You would re-ask your question, Attorney Smith.
I forgot what it was. Okay. So what you're saying now is you didn't know if the shower was going the whole time.
No.
Okay. Now, you didn't know if Adam used any tools in the shower because you weren't there the whole time,
Right?
but you never saw any.
No.
And the police specifically asked you about tools
Yes.
and specific types of tools, right?
Yes.
And you told them that the only tool that Adam had was a box, a big box under the counter in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And that when he pulled out that box one time when he was losing it, he broke the counter.
Yes.
And it was a pretty big box, right?
Yes.
And you did not see any other power tools in the apartment
No.
before or since?
I'm sorry?
Before that day or after that day?
No.
Okay. And they actually showed you pictures of power tools
Yes.
to ask you about those power tools.
Yes.
And did they show you a picture of a big table saw?
Yes.
And that was or was not similar to what you had seen in the apartment?
It was similar to it.
Okay. I'm going to show you a picture. Do you recognize this picture?
Yes.
And is that what you're saying? Well, how do you recognize this picture?
It's a table saw.
Uh-huh. And was that the type of tool that you had seen in the apartment?
Yeah, there was a table saw in the box.
Okay. And I'm gonna ask that this page be marked as an exhibit, Your Honor. It's not, it's remarked.
No objection. No objection.
Attorney Smith, for identification or full?
Full.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right, it can be marked as a full exhibit.
This is H. And they also showed you a picture of a circular saw, right?
I don't know the difference.
Okay, I'm going to show you another picture. And ask you if you recognize what's in that picture.
Yeah, that's what it looked.
Pardon?
It looked more like what it was than that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and you actually told the detective that it looked like the cordless compact circular saw?
No, it wasn't cordless.
Okay. You say it had a cord?
Yes.
Okay. And, Your Honor, I'm sorry, I did not have this pre-marked. I would like this offered as a full exhibit.
Can be entered as a full exhibit.
Thank you. And this is, thank you. And do you remember the detective saying out loud that, did it look like the cordless compact circular saw? And you said, yeah.
No.
Okay. Got a copy of Defendant's Exhibit E for ID. And I'm gonna ask you to, again, look wherever you want. Let me put this in an easier position. But read that portion at least.
Yeah, it wasn't cordless.
Okay, but the photograph that the detective had showed you was, as he said, of a cordless compact circular saw, right?
Right.
And the photograph that's been marked as I is in, at least indicates it's a cordless compact circular saw, or cordless circular saw.
Yeah, that's what it says. But it wasn't cordless, the one that was in the house, the
Okay.
apartment.
But that was the one that it looked like?
Yeah.
Okay. And then Detective Dunleavy showed you another photograph and asked if that perhaps looked like the tool under the sink?
That one?
No, a different one.
I don't know.
Do you recall him showing you a picture of a miter saw?
I don't even know what that is.
Okay. We'll get there.
Okay.
So, earlier in direct, you were given a picture of a power tool, right?
Yeah.
And you had signed that photograph, right?
Right.
Or, I'm sorry, initialed it, right?
Yeah.
Do you know when you initialed it?
No.
Pardon?
No.
Was it recent or a long time ago?
I know I did some recent and I did some a long time ago, so I don't remember.
You signed some photographs recently and signed some a long time ago?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to show you. And I keep saying sign, and I'm misstating. You initialed, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 63.
For identification or full?
It's been in as full.
That was recent.
This you
Yes.
signed recently
Yes.
in one of those prep sessions.
Yes.
And back in March 16, 2023, you did not sign Exhibit 63 as the tool that you had seen, right?
Right.
And if I may publish, Your Honor.
Any objection?
And the name of the type of saw on that photograph that you recently signed was M18 Fuel 18-volt lithium-ion brushless cordless size grinder with paddle switch, tool only. Okay.
Yes.
But back in March of 2023, when you were shown photographs, you identified the one that looked most like the tool as the cordless circular saw, right? I'll show you Defendant's Exhibit I.
I don't get what you're trying to say.
This cordless circular saw photograph was the one that you identified most like the tool that was under the counter.
Yes.
Okay. If I may, Your Honor?
Yep.
So how was it that you came to initial a grinder with paddle photograph? What happened? What was the exchange where you initialed it?
Because my mom had a similar tool just like that one. Adam asked to take it, and I said, no, you're not taking it, it's my mother's.
Okay.
And he wanted to take it, and I don't remember if he took it or not, because he would have did it behind my back.
Okay. And there were never any new tools in the apartment, right?
Not that I knew of.
And you didn't see any new tools around the time that you're talking about the things that you and Adam did in the shower.
Right, but he also brought lime and whatever else into the apartment, and I had no idea.
Okay. And you also talked to the prosecutor about tools in your prep session, right?
Right.
And in that prep session, you said you didn't know of any tools, but Adam said he wanted to, right?
Yes.
And that came in the most recent prep sessions that Adam told you he wanted to use tools.
Right.
And you didn't say when they were asking you about tools in June 3rd or June 23rd, you didn't see any tools, but Adam wanted to use tools, right?
Right.
And you didn't say in March 16 of 2023 that you didn't see tools. There was an old thing that looked kind of like the circular saw, but Adam said he wanted to use tools, right? And when you're prepping for your testimony here, I think that you said your parole hearing was coming up in May?
I don't know about my hearing. I know my minimum is in May.
Okay, and so you are hoping for a parole hearing and to get out in May, right?
Yeah.
But it's not guaranteed, right?
No.
Okay. And on that time where the state had you initial that fuel grinder, did they show you the picture and say, have you ever seen this?
Yes.
And you said, yeah, my mom has one.
I said, yes, my mom had one. I saw that she had one of those.
Okay. And when they showed you this picture, that you thought it might be important to the case, right?
Because Adam asked to take it, and I
Okay.
told him not to.
Okay. And that's a real clear memory, right?
Right.
And it's something that you never mentioned in June or March 22, 23, right?
Because it didn't get brought up. I wasn't thinking about that.
Well, they were asking about tools, weren't they?
Yeah, but I wasn't thinking about tools that my mom had. I wasn't remembering that Adam wanted to take that.
Okay. Okay. And what was that tool? Did you remember what it was?
A handsaw.
Okay.
That's what I call it anyway.
Okay. And what were the circumstances that you saw it at your mom's place?
Because my mother works with wood. She has her own refurbishing
Uh-huh.
company, and she does her own woodwork.
Okay.
And she just got it. It was brand new in the
Okay.
box.
Okay. So if it was brand new and purchased, it was brand new in December of 2021.
Yes.
Okay. The police showed you photograph of the CMC bag when you were doing the interview in June of 2023, right?
Yes.
And you identified that as the same type of bag, the same as the one that you got from Catholic Medical Center when you had your child.
Yes.
And you actually thought that it was your bag.
Right.
You thought they had found the bag.
Yeah.
And you had thought that because you recognized this little spot
Yeah.
in the photograph. I may publish, Your Honor. So let me talk about what you've described as the treatment of that CMC bag. You say that Harmony's body was taken down from the ceiling at FIT and put into the shower at FIT
Yes.
and put into a trash bag and into the CMC bag.
Yes.
And that body stayed in the CMC bag for a while.
Yes.
And then you took the CMC bag down the street to Portland Pie.
Yes.
And then the CMC bag came back to
Objection.
And that Harmony's body was in the closet in that bag at Union, right?
Yes.
And that then it was in the, Harmony's body was in the refrigerator in that bag.
Yes.
And then Harmony's body was in the bathroom with water running and her body and lime and all that stuff in that bag.
Yes.
And then in the freezer.
Yes.
And then taken away.
Yes.
And you believed that this bag was the same bag
Yes.
because of that little dot there.
Yes.
Because the last time you saw the bag, that was the only stain on the bag or something.
Not the
like-
only stain, but that was a stain that would not go away.
Ah, did you wash the bag?
No, but I tried getting it off
How?
by rubbing it off,
Okay.
wiping it,
Pardon?
wiping it.
Okay. Okay. Now, after the thing in the shower, Adam became pretty despondent, right?
What does that mean?
Hurt inside.
Yeah.
And you said that he tried to kill himself.
Yeah.
And you told him that he had to live and be there for the kids.
Right.
And that the kids need him and you needed him and he shouldn't do it.
Yes.
And-
Basis?
Without your, if I may rephrase, Your Honor,
Oh, you may rephrase. The question is withdrawn, the objection is sustained.
without saying exactly what you said, you tried to talk about your lives together to give him something to live for.
Yes.
Okay. And the main focus of that was the kids.
Yes.
Okay. The completely changing the subject, I want to take you back to the summer of 2019, and you testified about Kevin and Adam having an argument and you overhearing it.
Yes.
And the argument was about Kevin Montgomery's failure to pay bills that he had promised to pay, right?
Part of it, yeah.
Okay. You all were kind of left in the lurch because those bills weren't paid, right?
Yes.
I may have a moment, Your Honor? Thank you, Your Honor.
Three noes? When you're ready.
If I may just have a moment.
Attorney Knowles, I need you to have a microphone there, so I don't know if you. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Whenever you're ready.
Thank you. So, Kayla, you just said that part of that argument was about failure to pay bills. Can you tell the jurors what the other part of that argument was about?
Was about Adam hitting Harmony.
It was about, I'm sorry?
Adam hitting Harmony.
Okay. And this bag that you have identified,
Yes.
is it similar, is it identical to the one that was brought to the Econo Lodge?
Yes.
Is it identical to the one that that Adam left in the U-Haul with.
Yes.
And the stains that you mentioned, when did they make it onto that bag?
Before we left Guilford Street.
Before you left Guilford Street.
Yes.
And so that would have been before Harmony's body was ever placed in the bag,
Yes.
before the defendant murdered Harmony,
Yes.
before he beat her to death in that parking lot.
Objection.
Yes.
Was that
Sustained.
Let me rephrase, Judge. Was that before he beat her to death in the parking lot?
Yes.
Attorney Smith just showed you several items, saws, and I want to be very clear. The saw in my right hand was what the defendant discussed.
Objection, meeting.
Sustained.
Foundational question. Did you testify on direct that the saw in my right hand was the one that the defendant used, discussed using to dismember Harmony?
Yes.
Did you say that on direct? Because that's in fact what he did. He discussed using this to dismember Harmony.
Yes, he did.
And the saw in my left hand that the defense attorney showed you just now, was this similar to the item that was under your countertop?
Yes.
Attorney Smith asked you, she asked you about if that's when the defendant was losing it. What does losing it mean to you? Was that when he was hitting you? Was that something else?
Everything. He was abusive. He, in all ways, physical, emotional, and mentally.
You said physical, you said emotional, and you said mentally.
Yes.
And let's unpack that. How is he physical with you? How is he physically abusive towards you in that period before you escaped him?
He thought that I was telling on him, or cheating on him, or trying to kill him.
Okay. And how is he physical with you in those interactions?
He wanted me to tell him who I was cheating on him with, or if I was working with the cops, and I kept saying that I didn't, and he kept hitting me anyway, and then I started telling him that I did, even though I wasn't, and he still kept hitting me anyway.
And let's talk about that. Why would you tell him that you were doing these things, working with the police, why would you tell him that, even though you weren't at the time?
So that I wouldn't get hit.
Did he still hit you?
Yes.
You said that he was emotionally abusive to you. Tell the jurors about that.
Because he'd go back and forth with telling me to tell him that I was working with the cops, and he would accuse me of sleeping with the guy downstairs, sleeping with all these different people, that I came out of the window one night. I couldn't take care of the kids. He wouldn't let me do anything without him being there.
You said that he was mentally abusive to you. Can you tell the jurors how?
By asking me if I was working with the cops and making sure that I stuck with the story that he brought me to work and dropped me off and was bringing Harmony to her mom.
And can you tell us who came up with that story?
He did, Adam.
And you stuck to it.
Yeah.
You stuck to it even though you knew you weren't working at the time. I'll rephrase. Did you stick to it even though you knew you weren't working at the time?
Yes.
Attorney Smith, asked you about Adam being pure evil. Did you think that Adam was pure evil?
When he would start going crazy, yeah.
And you mentioned the evil eyes. When he looked at you in that moment, evil eyes, is that what you said?
Yeah.
And was that right after he'd beaten Harmony?
Yeah, it just got worse.
Were there also good times with the defendant in that period?
Yeah. But it was mostly bad.
And in those bad times, were you hoping for the good times?
Yeah.
Kayla, do you still love the defendant?
I still care about him. Because he's the father of my children. He was my best friend. It's been hard for me to just let go.
Kayla, I want to switch gears with you just a bit. You mentioned that after the defendant had beaten Harmony to death, after your car died at that intersection, after the defendant realized that Harmony was dead, that he got a duffel bag out of the trunk. And Attorney Smith asked you about him getting that duffel bag out of the trunk. And you said that the trunk would not open.
Yeah.
And he had to go in through the back seats.
Yeah.
Can you tell the jurors why the trunk wouldn't open?
When the car died, nothing was electronic was working. The windows wouldn't go down. The car just stopped working.
Kayla, I'm going to switch gears with you again. And I'm sorry to bounce around like this, but you talked about Mr. Badero, Anthony Badero, being a source of drugs, an occasional source of drugs.
Yes.
And Attorney Smith asked you about how these drugs would be purchased.
Yes.
And I believe the testimony that she asked you about was that sometimes you'd pay for them, sometimes he'd give them to you for free. Do you remember that line of questioning?
Yes.
Would Mr. Badero also accept food stamps or SNAP as a form of payment for drugs?
Yes.
And when you were living in the car, is that a form of payment that he accepted?
Yes.
Did that lead to your family having to eat baby food as a result?
Yes.
Who was eating baby food while you were living in that car?
All of us. Myself and the boys. And Harmony.
Attorney Smith asked you about trying to keep things quiet in the parking lot of the Colonial Village Apartments that morning around 3 a.m. when you woke up and the defendant was beating Harmony, striking her blow after blow. And you talked about the children not screaming. Is that because at the same time he was telling them to shut the fuck up? I think that was your testimony on direct.
Yes.
Who was he telling to shut the fuck up?
Harmony.
And was that before, during, or after he was brutally beating her?
Before and after.
Attorney Smith asked you several questions about Harmony, the changes that were happening to her. And she said that it was difficult for Harmony because of all the changes. And you agreed with that, but I want to ask you about that. Was it difficult for Harmony because of all the changes that she was going through?
Well, objection, just by the board.
Why don't you finish the question and then I'll rule on the objection.
So Kayla, was it difficult for Harmony because of all the changes she was going through, or because she was terrified of the defendant?
Sustained. You may rephrase the question.
Kayla, was it difficult for Harmony because of her fear of the defendant? It's a direct question, it's not a leading
Approach.
question. So Kayla, was Harmony, was it because of all of these changes, or was it for some other reason?
Overruled.
Or was it for some other reason?
I think it was all of it.
And let's talk about all of it. Can you tell the jurors what all of it is?
Adam being abusive, physically and mentally, and everything she went through from her mom and her dad.
And Kayla, when you say Adam being abusive, you're talking about the accidents that you would have.
Yes.
During your cross-examination, this was last week, the defense attorney said during her examination of you that Harmony died in the car with you, right? And you weren't able to explain the answer that you'd given. Who else was in the car with you, with Harmony, when Harmony died?
Adam and the two boys.
And who was striking her repeatedly right before she died?
Adam.
Are you aware that the defense argued in their opening that something happened to Harmony in the middle of the night, and that thing killed her before the defendant was even around?
Right.
So, is that true?
No.
Did Harmony die in the middle of the night alone with you when the defendant wasn't even there?
No.
So when you testified during the defendant's examination that you thought Harmony was sleeping but then found out she was dead,
Yes.
was that in the middle of the night, or was that the next day after your car broke down?
That was the next day.
That was after the methadone clinic.
Yes.
Kayla, you were just asked, so you were asked last Friday, about a letter that you'd written with various demands. Do you remember that? It's the defense exhibit G.
Yes.
In that letter, you discuss betraying the defendant, and the attorney asked you if you wrote betraying, but you weren't asked to explain what betraying meant. Can you tell the jurors what you meant when you said betraying?
I felt like I was betraying him, Adam, by telling what happened to Harmony. And I was fighting with myself. Because I didn't want him to be mad at me for doing the right thing.
Were you referring to the secret that you'd been keeping for 2 years?
Yes.
Were you referring to telling the truth about him beating Harmony to death? I'll strike that question, Judge. last week you were asked to describe a conversation that you had with the defendant where he agreed to take the fall for Harmony's death, but you weren't asked to explain what that meant. What did you mean when you said take the fall, or when he said take the fall?
That he wants me with the children, and no matter what happens, he's the one at fault.
Was he taking the fall for something that you did?
No.
Did you beat Harmony to death?
No.
Was he taking the fall for what he had done?
Yes.
You said that in the spring of 2020, the defendant was acting strange. He was accusing you of telling on him for what he'd done to Harmony. What did you mean when you said he was acting strange?
Every time we got high, as soon as he got high, he started freaking out and just accused me of working with the cops, thought there was cameras in the house, the TV, smashed every phone we had, just destroyed the whole apartment.
When you were asked about lying to the grand jury, you said that he was stuck in your head. What did you mean by that?
That I stick with the story that he told me to say.
And that was stuck in your head during your testimony.
Yes.
I want to talk about that list of items that you gave, your requirements, the things that you'd like before testifying. Did you get immunity?
No.
Where are you currently living, Kayla?
New Hampshire State Prison for Women.
Kayla, did you get to keep your children?
No.
Do you have any rights to them?
No.
Are you even allowed to speak to them right now, Kayla?
No.
You said that after the defendant repeatedly struck Harmony, after he put the blanket over her, after she moaned, after the strange crying, moaning stopped, after he did drugs, and after the car died, you thought that Harmony was asleep under that blanket.
Yes.
Why did you think that she may be sleeping after Adam repeatedly struck her?
Because she usually just goes to sleep after.
Kayla, why stay with someone that does this to you?
Because I was scared. And I still cared about him.
Why defend a person that does this to you?
Because I was scared what would happen. I didn't want anybody getting in trouble.
Why stay with someone? Why stay with someone that does what he did to a helpless girl like this?
Because for some reason I still cared about him.
Why defend someone that beat her to death?
I don't know. I was scared.
Attorney Smith asked you about a proffer agreement, your agreement to provide information about what the defendant had done, what had happened to Harmony. Do you remember that line of questioning?
Yes.
And she asked you about how none of those statements could be used against you. And I think you
Yes.
agreed with that.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask you Kayla, I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 102 for identification. And I'm just going to ask that you review that document and look up when you're ready. Kayla, is that the agreement as you remember it?
Yes.
And do you recognize any of the signatures on that final page?
Yes.
Which one do you recognize?
Mine and my attorney and the AG.
Is that the true and correct agreement?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this point, I move to admit States, what's marked for identification as States 102.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right, the ID may be stricken and be entered as a full exhibit.
I'm going to take it back. Kayla, does that agreement discuss how your statements can be used against you?
Yes.
Tell the jurors how your statements can be used against you.
If I lie.
Does it say what other than your statements can be used against you if you lie?
I could get charged with anything.
Does it discuss evidence related to Harmony, her body?
Yes.
Can that information also be used against you?
Yes.
Now, is that the information that you went to that meeting with?
Yes.
And you knew about that before you testified yesterday and today?
Yes.
Kayla, do you remember being, excuse me, do you remember being asked by the defense attorney last Friday about deciding to take an agreement with the prosecution?
Yes.
Do you remember Attorney Smith asking you the following questions and you providing the following answer? She said, but you knew they had you solid on the perjury charges, right?
Yes.
And you said right to that. You were never getting around that one. Attorney Smith asked you. You were never getting around that one.
Right.
And so you decided this would probably be,
Objection at meeting.
Overruled.
and so you decided this would probably be the best you could do to get as few consequences as you can, as possible, for your actions as possible, right? Do you remember being asked those questions?
Yes.
Because people facing criminal charges make strategic decisions to admit to some lesser offenses to try to limit their legal exposure or get as few consequences for their legal actions as possible, right?
Right.
Now, the defense asked you about that legal strategy. So you think that they would be aware of it, right?
Yes.
Are you aware that falsifying physical evidence, that abuse of a corpse, it's lesser than murder?
Yes.
And are you aware that in their opening they told this jury that that they can find the defendant guilty of falsifying and abuse of a corpse?
Yes.
Can you remind these jurors who killed Harmony?
Adam Montgomery.
If I could have just a moment. No further questions, thank you.
I think you testified that you were aware of what was said on openings, right?
Yes.
How were you aware?
I'm sorry?
How were you aware of what was said at openings?
I was told by my lawyer.
Your lawyer told you what was said at opening.
I believe so. I don't know. I'm not like here right now. Can you
Pardon?
rephrase the question, please?
Your Honor, may we approach?
This is a good time for us to take our mid-afternoon break, so I'm going to have you go back into the jury deliberation room. Don't discuss the evidence. No further conversations about this between each other or with anybody else. Don't do any independent research, and we will have you. We'll take at least 15 minutes. Okay? All rise for the jurors, please. Can you get the lawyers, please? Yeah, you can stay here. You can come on up. I'm just waiting for the lawyer. Bring in the jury. Counsel, actually, never mind. I'm just gonna have to.
But I'm okay.
Just do it.
All rise.
Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, I do realize that was more than 15 minutes. Sometimes there are some issues that come up that the court has to deal with before we can bring you back in. We have dealt with that, and the defense may proceed.
When we took the break, you had indicated that you learned information about what was said in opening statements by Adam's attorneys
Yes.
about the case, right?
Yes.
And you were, I think the state asked, were you aware that he said something happened in the night of December 6th to December 7th with you alone in the car?
Yes.
And he also said, were you aware that Adam was conceding that he had been involved in the manipulation, well, the abuse of the court's charge
Yes.
and the falsifying evidence charge.
Yes.
And you learned this the morning before you testified.
Yes.
And you learned this because your attorney spoke to you about it.
Yes.
Attorney-client privilege.
Overruled.
And learning this allowed you to prepare for the answers that you would give.
Yes.
And you discussed the ways that you would deal with this information.
Objection. Attorney-client.
Overruled.
Not really, no.
Okay. You thought about this information and you knew that that was different from what you had told police and the prosecutors before.
Yes.
And you thought about this information and this pointed the finger at you, right?
Yes.
And you certainly didn't want to have the finger pointed at you, right?
Right.
And you wanted to think about and prepare yourself for how you would respond to those questions. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. And it was sort of like the prep sessions with the state and with the police, that you could think about things that had happened and maybe give a better or different explanation the next time you spoke to someone.
I'm sorry, I'm not.
Thank you.
Yeah.
When the police, during your interviews, raised questions or skepticism about information that you gave them, you'd sometimes change your statements, right?
Objection, Your Honor. Assumes facts only.
Overruled.
No.
Well, when the police spoke to you in June 3rd, you said that you were not in the bathroom and that you were not involved with what happened in the shower when Harmony's body was at Union Avenue, right?
Right.
And then the next time you talked to the police, you said you were a little bit aware, and then you slipped up and said something, and the police said, "Did you cut the clothes off?" And you said, "Yeah, the hoodie," right?
That's not how that happened, but
Okay. But you had denied anything, and then as time and their questioning went on, you acknowledged that you were a participant, right?
right.
Okay. And you talked on direct about Adam losing it in after Harmony's body was in the shower, right?
Not that day, but yes.
Okay, sometime after, right?
Right.
And that he was accusing you of cheating on him,
Yeah.
Accusing you of trying to kill him,
Yes.
accusing you of having cameras all over the house,
And other things, yes.
and accusing you of blaming him for Harmony's death to the police.
No.
Accusing you of telling the police.
Right. You already said that.
Pardon?
You already said that.
Okay. So he was accusing you of telling the police that he had caused Harmony's death,
Yes.
and accusing you of telling the police that you were trying to poison him.
Yes.
He was scared of you.
No.
Okay. And none of that was true, right?
What do you mean?
You weren't cheating on him, right?
Right.
And you weren't trying to poison him.
Right.
And you weren't accusing him of Harmony's death.
No.
He had just sort of lost his mind for a while, right?
Yes.
And in that time period, he got violent.
Yes.
And you told the grand jury when you were talking about that time period that he punched you twice.
I don't remember saying how many times, but yes.
Or a couple of times?
Yes.
And that sounds right? Or do you want to see your grand jury testimony?
No, I was gonna say yes.
Okay. And he punched you twice, and
Objection.
Oh.
The objection is sustained.
you told the grand jury he punched you twice or a couple of times, right?
Right.
And then in March, this started to happen again, right?
It never stopped.
Okay. And you have a picture of, and I'm showing you State's Exhibit 99, of you with redness along your eyes.
Yes.
And this is a picture that you took of yourself and sent to other people, right?
Right.
Because you were angry at what he had done to you.
I sent it to my own family.
Okay.
Right.
And you left him,
Yes.
but he was the one that got arrested,
Right.
and you filed a restraining order on him,
Yes.
and went back with your mother for a while,
Yes.
and went to the shelter for a while,
Yes.
and tried to get back with Adam.
Yes.
And you're saying it was not a couple of times after Harmony's body was taken away, it was constant.
Yes.
And then he had also, we talked about, become despondent and sort of suicidal.
Objection.
It happened twice, yes.
She just said it happened twice.
Overruled.
And you took care of your kids, right?
Yes.
And took care of Adam
Yes.
and continued on with your life.
Yes.
You said that the state asked you about Adam being pure evil, right?
Yes.
And that's what you said you saw in Adam at the time that you say that he was beating Harmony.
Yes.
And you're saying that a child was beaten to death beside you, looking like pure evil, and you continued on with your children and your life with Adam.
Yeah, but it wasn't okay.
Okay. And you did nothing about Harmony's death.
No, I asked him to stop, and he didn't.
Okay. I'm talking about after Harmony was died, you continued on with your life, right?
Yeah, but it wasn't okay. It was abusive.
Okay. And you don't like that, abusive, right?
Right.
And you would not approve of abusive behavior.
Well, I was taking it
Okay.
when I shouldn't have. It took a while for me to just leave him. It's really hard.
Okay. Now, the duffel bag in the trunk of the car, you eventually got the trunk open, right?
No, we didn't get the trunk open.
Well, you eventually got a bunch of stuff out of the trunk, right?
Yes.
And were you present when Mr. Badero drove Adam back to the car?
Yes, I was with him.
And the kids were where?
With us.
Okay. And at that point, you were trying to get the rest of the stuff out of the car.
Yes.
And you were able to take some things out of the car.
Yes.
From the back seat
Yes.
and from the trunk.
Yes.
And let's talk about the letters talking about betrayal. Remember talking about that on redirect?
Yes.
Anyway, those letters were the handwritten notes that were taken from yourself.
Yes.
And you are talking about betrayal of Adam because you don't want to hurt Adam.
Right.
But I think you said on redirect, but you had to do the right thing.
Right.
And that's what you meant when you wrote the word betrayal, was that you didn't want to hurt Adam, but you had to do the right thing.
Right.
And after you wrote that letter, where you didn't want to hurt Adam, but you had to do the right thing, you went and lied to the grand jury.
When I was subpoenaed, yes.
And that was after the letter about betrayal, right?
A few months after, yes.
And that was not doing the right thing, right?
Right.
Because you knew how Harmony died, right?
Right.
And you knew when she died, right?
Right.
And you knew where she died, right?
Yes.
And the right thing would have been to tell the grand jury that information, right?
Right.
And you did not do the right thing.
Not yet.
Okay. And then, I think you said, that Adam and you talked about, I think you called it take the fall, because he wanted you to be with the children.
Yes.
So Adam agreed to take the fall for what happened to Harmony to protect you.
No, not just to protect me.
To protect you being there for the children.
Yeah.
Okay. And he said if anything happens, he would take the fall.
Right.
And you expected that he would do that, right?
No.
You didn't expect that he would do that.
No.
Okay. But he did, right?
No.
Ah, okay. Sorry. He took the fall in the sense that both of you represented to other people that he had taken Harmony to Crystal.
Right.
Okay. So he was allowing him to be the focus of anybody's questions, not you, right?
Right.
And you said that you said that Dunkin' Donuts, that you stuck with the story even though you didn't work at Dunkin' Donuts on the 30th, right?
Right.
And I think you said that Adam said make it sometime around Thanksgiving, right?
No.
The story about him going with Harmony off to Crystal. and
Yeah,
you-
'cause we got kicked out of the house, but it was just that time.
Okay. And you were the one that picked the date that you would say that you were working at Dunkin' Donuts, right?
I don't remember that.
Okay. Well, you said that you continued with your story even though you knew you didn't work that day, right?
Right.
And you continued with the story because in the middle of grand jury, you learned that they had gotten the Dunkin' Donuts records, right?
Yeah.
And you continued with the story because you weren't prepared to say anything else.
I didn't want to say the other issue of what happened.
Okay. And you had been advised prior to the grand jury testimony, those ground rules were saying every time that you lie, you might get stacked charges, right?
Yeah.
And one thing that has been the focus of everything that you have done since being arrested is to be in as little trouble as possible, right?
I'm sorry.
You have said things to try and get out of trouble or keep the trouble as little as possible, right?
No.
Yeah? Well, when they continued asking questions, you could have asked to see your lawyer, right?
Right.
But you continued with the story, right?
Right.
Because you didn't have another one to say.
Because that's what Adam told me to say. I didn't know what else I was going to say. I just stuck with the story.
Okay. So you didn't know what else to say, so you stuck with the story, right?
Right.
And you had talked before about betraying Adam, but weren't ready at the grand jury.
Right.
Okay. And and you said that you were afraid to do anything because you were afraid of what would happen, right?
Right.
And I think one of the things that you told the state that you were afraid of what would happen was that Adam threatened to have Kevin kill you?
Yeah.
Okay. Kevin is the uncle that used to live in the 77 Guilford Avenue, right?
Yes.
And the one that was in that fight with Adam that you said that you overheard in the summer?
Yes.
Okay. State talked to you about your cooperation agreement that you reached before talking to the police about what happened that you said happened to Harmony, right?
Right.
And one of the things that it said was that your statements couldn't be used against you, right?
Right.
And that they wanted the truth, right?
Right.
And you told them when you first spoke after having this agreement that you did not go into the shower at Union Avenue when Adam was manipulating the body, right?
Right.
Or-
Right.
And that was not the truth, right?
No.
And you didn't get in any trouble for it, right?
Right.
You just changed your testimony, right?
Right.
Objection.
Basis?
She didn't testify at the trial. That's what was involved.
I'll rephrase.
Okay.
Your statement, right?
Right.
And as time went on and they would approach you with things, you might adjust your statement to fit some of the questions, right?
Right.
Okay. And by that agreement, you were supposed to only tell the truth, right?
Right.
And your story changed somewhat, right?
Right.
And at the grand jury, you were only supposed to tell the truth, right?
Right.
And you lied.
Right.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Anything further from the state?
Your Honor, no further questions for Ms. Montgomery from the state.
All right, you may sit down. State may call its next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, at this time, the state calls Ms. Courtney Garcia to the stand. Just come this way, please. Just one more. Just complete the date. Just gonna have you to go right to the seat. And when you get there, if you could please just remain standing for a brief moment. Ms. Garcia, if you would please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony that you will give this jury will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Please feel free to have a seat.
Thank you.
And feel free to pour yourself a glass of water if you'd like for any reason. Ms. Garcia, as we're being recorded here today, would you please state your full name and spell both your first and your last name for the record?
Yes, my name is Courtney Garcia, COURTNEY, GARCIA,
Okay, thank you. And what city do you live in?
Manchester, New Hampshire.
How long have you lived here?
About 5 years.
And are you currently employed?
Not at the moment.
Okay. What kind of jobs have you had in your life?
I've had some supervisor positions. I've worked as a counselor in the addiction field, restaurant jobs.
Okay. And currently, right now, do you have any children?
I do.
Okay. How old?
13 months.
It sounds like a handful.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, with regards to the name Adam Montgomery, have you heard that name before?
Yes.
All right. How do you know Adam Montgomery?
He is a childhood friend of my husband,
Okay. And what's your husband's name?
Matthew Garcia.
With regards to Adam Montgomery, have you met him in person before?
I have.
Okay. And also, at any point in time, were the two of you working together?
Yes, he was one of my employees.
Approach the witness, please, Your Honor.
Mr. May?
Ms. Garcia, I'd like to show you what's been marked State's Exhibit 101. Do you recognize that person?
Yes, that's Adam Montgomery.
That's Adam Montgomery, the same Adam Montgomery that we're talking about?
Yes.
I'd like to ask you very specifically about Mr. Montgomery. And I'd like to ask about Thanksgiving of 2019, if I can.
Okay.
Did you see Mr. Montgomery on Thanksgiving of 2019 or around that time?
I did, on Thanksgiving.
On Thanksgiving Day?
Yes.
Okay.
It was in the evening.
I'm sorry, in the evening?
Yes.
Okay. And I would ask if you can just kind of scoot a little bit more forward, actually. You saw him in the evening, right?
Correct.
And when you saw him in the evening, let me ask, did you become aware of where he was living at the time?
Yes, I did. He was living in his vehicle.
What did the car look like?
It was a Chrysler Sebring, very bald tires, silver to my knowledge.
And where did you see him that evening?
I saw him at the Pestataquag, I think that's how you pronounce it, apartments in Manchester, New Hampshire, in the parking lot.
Okay. What, if anything, did you do for him that day?
My husband and I provided Adam gas money, and we offered him a place to stay.
And that was on Thanksgiving, correct?
Correct.
All right. And what did Mr. Montgomery say to that when you offered him a place to stay that night? In regards to Thanksgiving and staying, what did the defendant say when you made that offer?
Adam was kind of for it, but Kayla and Adam ended up not agreeing to stay at our location.
Okay. And let me ask you, is that a conversation that you directly had with the defendant?
Yes.
And I believe a second ago you just said also Kayla. So Kayla, is that Kayla Montgomery?
Yes.
That particular day, did you see any other members of the family there?
Yes, they had their 2 sons and Harmony in the back seat.
Okay. And how did you see her in person in the back seat, or did you just know that she was there?
I just know that all 3 children were there. None of the children got out of the vehicle.
Okay. Did you look into the vehicle at any point to put eyes on them?
We offered them food, so I believe at one time I kind of put my hand in, and that was that. I didn't really look at the children. It's not what I was there for.
Okay. And from your recollection today, how many children were in the car at that time?
3.
Thank you. Moving forward from Thanksgiving, I want to talk to you about the couple of months after that. Did you see the defendant again, Adam Montgomery, sometime between December and January, December of 2019 into January of 2020?
Multiple times.
Okay. And at any point in time during that month, December going into January, did you have a conversation with him about Harmony and her condition?
We did, yes. Or I did, yes.
Okay. Where did Mr. Montgomery say she was at that point?
He told us that he brought Harmony back to her mother.
Do you know what her mother's name is?
Crystal, maybe?
Okay. And let me ask, with regards to that, I apologize. Did the defendant ever tell you what her name is? I should have asked a better question there.
No,
Okay.
he did not.
And with regards to how she was back with her mother, what did the defendant tell you about why that happened, or how it happened, or when it happened?
He told us that he brought her back to her mother because Harmony was having multiple accidents in the vehicle.
And by accidents, what do you mean by accidents?
She was using the bathroom in the vehicle.
What, if anything, did the defendant say about Harmony now being with her mother as compared to Harmony being with Adam?
I'm sorry, not.
Sure. At any point in time, did he talk about what kind of, with regards to what Harmony was being provided for, what she could be provided for from her mother as compared to what Adam was able to offer at that time?
A home.
A home?
Yes.
Just a moment, please, Your Honor. Let me ask you, Ms. Garcia, at one point, were you interviewed by officers of the Manchester Police Department about this interaction that we talked about today that you had with
yes.
Adam Montgomery?
Yes.
Okay. And during the time that you were speaking with them, did you tell them that the defendant told you that she was better off with her mother than with him at the time?
Basis?
Hearsay.
I'm sorry, the defendant.
Yes, I'm asking whether or not she reported those as the defendant's words at that time.
The objection is overruled.
Go ahead, Ms. Garcia.
Yes, he told us that she was better off with her mother because she could provide her a home, and Adam could not.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Garcia. I don't have any further questions for you. I believe defense counsel will have a few.
Okay.
Hi, Ms. Garcia. You indicated on direct examination that a place to stay was offered for the night.
Correct.
Adam was kind of for it.
Yes.
Kayla wasn't.
Correct.
Thank you.
Anything further, Attorney Gotti?
Nothing else. We'd ask this witness to be excused, please.
Any objection?
No objection.
You may step down. You are excused.
Thank you.
Just a brief moment. Your Honor, at this time, the state would call Ms. Kimberly Frame to the stand, please. Thank you. That the testimony you give this jury will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Thank you. Please feel free to have a seat. Ms. Frayne, as we're being recorded here today, would you please state your first and your last name for the record and spell them out for us?
Kimberly, Kimberly, Frayne, Frain.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Frayne. Appreciate that. With regards to New Hampshire, do you live in the state?
Yes.
Okay. And generally, what town do you live in?
Meredith.
In Meredith. And what are you doing for work right now?
I'm working in healthcare at a hospital.
Okay. And how long have you been doing that?
Almost 3 years.
How far have you gone in school?
I'm actually back in school now.
Oh, what are you studying?
Where?
What? I'm sorry, what are you studying?
It's kind of long. Healthcare administration.
Okay. And how long have you been, or how long do you have to go before you get a degree?
Like 3 more years.
3 more years?
Yeah.
All right. Pardon me. So I'm going to ask just one question at a time, so I'd ask you to please listen carefully to either my question or any other counsel's question that you get asked. And if I'm talking too quickly or if you don't understand my question, just let me know. I'll be happy to restate it, okay?
Okay.
All right, thanks. Prior to where you live now, did you used to live in Manchester back in 2019?
Yes.
All right. And do you know of somebody by the name of Adam Montgomery?
Yes.
Did you ever used to work at a Dunkin' Donuts on Beach Street in Manchester?
Yes.
How long did you work there?
Like 5 years,
About 5 years?
maybe?
Okay. Let me ask, you also know the name Kayla Montgomery.
Yes.
And what was when you, and have you met Kayla Montgomery?
Yes.
Right. What's the relationship between Kayla Montgomery and Adam Montgomery when you first met them?
I met them at work. We worked together. First, I worked with Kayla, and then Adam worked with us too.
With regards to Kayla and Adam, did you ever meet Adam's daughter, Harmony Montgomery?
Once.
One time?
Yes.
Did you ever spend time with her?
Yes, I babysat her and the two boys, or one boy at the time, at my house.
At your house?
Yeah.
And would this have been back in 2019?
Yeah, I think it was the summer of 2019.
I'd like to ask some specific questions for you about Adam Montgomery, specifically about beginning in the winter of that year, at the end of 2019, all right?
Okay.
Right. Did you ever bring Adam Montgomery jumper cables to try to start a car?
Yes,
How many times have you done that for him?
once.
Just the one time.
One time.
How did he reach out to you for help?
He either called me or it was on Facebook. I can't remember which. And he said that their car had died and it was freezing out and they wanted me to come jumpstart their car. And I told them no, but they kept begging and I felt bad. So I went.
Okay. So you said maybe they messaged you or reached out on Facebook. Is that right? Did you have a Facebook account at one point that just went by the name Kimberly Frayne?
Yeah.
And is that the account that he might have messaged you on?
Yeah.
What time was this? What time of morning was this that Adam reached out, or you got these messages asking for a jump?
It was in the middle of the night. I just remember that. It was late.
So did you go to where they were and give them a jump?
I did.
Where did you go?
It's behind Elm Street in, I think it's Colonial Apartments.
Okay. And is that at the south side of town, west side, or north side of town?
It's like right down the road from my house on the north side.
Okay. When you saw them, do you remember what kind of car they were in that night?
Yeah, they were in a blue Audi.
Now, when you went to meet them, first of all, what was the weather like that night?
It was cold. It was freezing.
So when you got there, who, if anybody, got into your car?
I pulled up and I don't remember the beginning, but I don't think I brought a jumper pack that my ex-husband had, and a Good Samaritan came by and him and Adam jump-started it, and Kayla jumped in my car with the two boys and we just blasted the heat to keep them warm.
To keep them warm?
Yeah.
So you said it was Kayla and the two boys?
Two boys.
Okay. So I know you said before that you had babysat Harmony on one occasion. Was Harmony there with you? Did she get into the car as well with Kayla and the two boys?
No.
Did you see Harmony at all while you were there that night?
No.
And I believe you said a Good Samaritan came along. Do you remember who that is or even know who that
No,
is?
it was just somebody in the complex saw us struggling.
Okay. I guess I'll ask this one other question. After that one time, did you ever jump a car for them again?
No. I was distancing myself from them at that point.
Do you remember the exact day that this occurred in the winter of 2019, end of 2019?
I don't.
Okay. Just that it was very cold out, is that right?
Yeah.
All right. Just a moment, please, Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor, and thank you, Ms. Frayne. I have one more question just for you in general. With regards to conversations that you've had with Adam Montgomery, the defendant in this case, with regards to the conversations, did you ever have a conversation with him about Harmony having bathroom accidents or wetting herself or defecating herself in her pants?
I don't think so. Not him.
Not him?
No.
Okay. With anybody else?
Maybe with Kayla, but I don't remember exactly.
Well, and I don't want you to guess. So if you remember, you remember. If you don't, you don't. That's
don't.
okay. And so you're saying your testimony is you don't.
I don't remember.
All right. All right. Thank you very much for your time. I have no further questions for you. I believe defense counsel may have a few.
Thank you.
Counsel, you want to move, you come up?
Yes, Your Honor.
About that? Go ahead.
Good afternoon, and I only have a couple of questions.
Okay.
You recalled that whatever car that you jumped, you thought it was a blue Audi?
Yeah.
And you know from before that Adam used to drive a Sebring?
It was a silver car.
Okay. This was not the car that Adam used to drive around, right? And you remembered this way back in 2021 when the police first asked you about it, right?
Yeah.
And your memory, even the first time you talked about it, was a blue Sebring. Blue Audi.
No, I think I might have told them I think I told them it was the silver car, but
Okay.
it was the Audi they were in.
Okay, so you're really clear about that, huh?
Yeah.
So what changed when you first said the Sebring and then sort of recalled the Audi?
I just couldn't remember the time frames because it was so long ago.
Okay, so I understand that, but what changed your recollection of the type of car?
Objection, Your Honor, has been answered at this point.
Overruled. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I think you said at first you told him it was the Sebring, but then the blue Audi when they first started questioning you on it, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what it was that made you say that it was the blue Audi?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further?
Further, we ask this witness to be excused, please.
You may step down. Counsel approach. It's 10 of 4, and I don't want to get started with another witness and take you too long beyond 4 o'clock. So we're going to end for the day. I know earlier when I left this morning, there were some reports about weather. I have kept an eye on it as we've taken breaks throughout the day. The reports actually look much better than was originally anticipated. And we're New Hampshireites, so we're used to weather, but it does not look like it is going to be the significant weather event that they had originally predicted. So I'm going to keep an eye on the weather throughout the night. At this point, the court will be open. We will. I have every expectation that we are going to go forward tomorrow with trial. So I'll need you here at 8:45. If anything were to change, we would let you know well before then. I know we have contact information for all of you. I'll double check to make sure that that's correct. So keep an eye out on your email or text messages, but I think it is extremely unlikely that we would not have trial tomorrow, so you should all plan accordingly. Put your boots beside the door. So 8:45 tomorrow morning. As I said, don't read anything about this. Avoid all news media regarding this case. Don't look anybody up. Don't do any independent research. And I will see you tomorrow morning for a 9 a.m. start. Thank you so much, everybody, for your attention today.
All rise for the jury.
Thank you. Greg, can you just make sure that, I'll call downstairs to Ann, make sure she has everybody's contact information. Okay. Did you call downstairs to Ann, make sure before we let them out? right, everybody, you can be seated. Any last minute issues we need to address? You can do it from there. I think, unless you think there's something that would be privileged, but otherwise, I say do it from there.
I feel no compelling need. I don't
Okay.
think there's anything privileged on that.
Okay.
We've heard from Attorney Sheehan. We understand that Mr. Cordero would likely go ahead and vote for some of the cross-examination that we anticipated of him. So as a result, we suddenly have a conversation in our breakfast this evening as to whether or not we do granted, and we'll have an answer for you on that prior to him taking the stand, probably the day of him taking the stand. So we will hopefully go ahead and be able to resolve that issue.
Okay. When you say the day of his taking the stand, that would be will not be problematic, I don't believe, if immunity is granted. If immunity is not granted, it may become an issue. So we'll need time to do that.
Understood, Your Honor. I believe that I believe that authorization will likely be given.
Okay. So anything, Attorney Smith, Attorney Brooks, you want to say about that? Okay. Do you agree with what I just said, which is if immunity is granted, I don't see any issue or the need for any hearing prior to his taking the stand? Obviously, as soon as immunity is granted, you will give any immunity letter to the defense right away, right?
Of course.
Okay. So, and if in the event that were not accurate, then I'd want to know right away, because I would want to want to make sure we have time for hearing on that.
With regards to that, Your Honor, I believe also procedure, we would have to submit the letter to the court. The court would have to sign off on the order before that would happen, and then obviously both sets of counsel will happen. So I would anticipate that would happen well in advance of him testifying.
Okay, good. If there's any issues there, you're going to let me know, I'm sure. So please do. Anything else from your perspective that we can accomplish today?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Actually, I have every expectation that we will go forward tomorrow. Like I said, I looked at least, maybe not the last break, but at lunchtime, and it looked like, 3.5 inches of snow or something like that. So I think I have every expectation that we're going to go forward tomorrow. If there were any changes, I want the best contact information for you all, and maybe, just in case we can't get to one member of your team, maybe it makes sense to give us contact information for both, and then once we contact the first person, we would have you contact your co-counsel. But like I said, I think I have every expectation that we will go forward tomorrow, so you should have your witnesses ready to go. Anybody runs into any trouble, please let us know. Okay. Yeah, excellent. Attorney Agati or Attorney Knowles, do you need Tabitha Scott tomorrow, or are you going to ask us for a new transport order, or what's the situation?
We are not for tomorrow, Your Honor, no.
Okay, so you'll keep us apprised
Yes.
of in advance, so, because we've got to issue a transport order.
Oh, yes.
Okay. I think
Your Honor, I do have that contact information. I'd like me to-
if you would give your contact information to the clerk, and she and I can sort out what will happen with that. All right, anything else? No? Okay, I will see you all tomorrow morning. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Your Honor.